So today we are going to start with our second theory, that is contemporary approaches to intelligence, and this one is Sternberg's triarchic theory. So Robert Sternberg in 1985 gave us the theory of intelligence, and according to him, intelligence in the practical environment is the most central mental activity, okay? And a person by his mental ability tries to select factors from the external environment, and he solves the problem and gets the success in the life. So after 1990, Sternberg changed the name of his theory and called it as theory of successful intelligence. And according to him, there are three aspects to be kept in mind in order to understand the intelligence. And what are the three aspects? First is componential intelligence, experiential intelligence, and contextual intelligence. We will come on to this diagram later on, but let's understand these components. So first one is componential intelligence. Because of this type of intelligence, that is componential intelligence, abstract and analytical thinking is possible. So you can think abstractly and analytically, and that's why this type of intelligence is also known as analytical intelligence. Various cognitive aspects like analysis, critique, comparison, evaluation, etc. are included in componential intelligence. So your ability to analyze, to evaluate, or to critique is because of componential intelligence, okay? Then we have experiential intelligence. As the word experiential suggests, there would be an experiment, and how we can relate that experiment to our experiential intelligence is, in experiment we combine certain elements, we combine certain information, and we get a new information or a new certain set of element. And thus in this type of intelligence also, there is the ability to combine factors or elements to create new thought, innovative creations, ideas and insights to solve the problem. So what happens because of this experiential intelligence is, human has the ability to combine certain factors and informations to create new thoughts and innovative creations, etc. And that's why this type of intelligence is also known as creative intelligence, okay? So people who are creative and are involved in fundamental modifications are likely to have higher exponential intelligence, okay? Then we have contextual intelligence. So what happens in this type of intelligence? The person with high contextual intelligence can rapidly adapt to any situation or environment in his practical life and can skillfully find the solution to the problem. So what happens due to contextual intelligence is, humans have the ability to rapidly adapt to any situation or environment, and that situation can be social, economical, emotional, cultural, etc. The situation environment can be any, and because of this contextual intelligence, the human have the ability to adapt to that situation or environment, okay? And in this type of intelligence, an individual tries to overcome his weakness and has the ability to bring the change in the situation by making optimum use of the environment. So what does optimum means? Maximum, okay? So humans have the ability to make the maximum use of environment and to overcome his weakness by the contextual intelligence, okay? And so it is also known as practical intelligence. And people with high contextual intelligence have more practical knowledge, okay? So these were the three components of this Sternberg's triarchic theory. This model suggests that all the three intelligences are interrelated, and with the interrelation a complete intelligence can be judged, okay? So there is a difference of degrees of three intelligence in an individual. So some individual can have higher degree of componential intelligence, while other can have contextual intelligence at a higher degree, okay? So the intelligence degree can vary, but according to Sternberg, these three components are essential to judge the intelligence, okay? So here we complete the Sternberg's triarchic theory. Let's move on to another one, that is third theory, that is three-dimensional theory of Guilford. So J.P. Guilford criticized Spearman two-factor theory, and what did he say? That intelligence is made of two factors only, but is a combination of other factors. So according to Guilford, intelligence cannot be formed by only two factors. What did the Spearman give? Two factors, that is general factor and special factor. But Guilford opposed that theory and said intelligence cannot be based on only two factors, but it is a combination from many factors together. Okay, and each factors represent a specific mental ability and also independent of each other. So according to Guilford, there are factors that represent specific mental ability and they are independent of each other also. Okay, so it can be said that intelligence is a combination of many factors, like all the body parts of the body and organs are different from each other and in their look and functions, but they have specific functions too, yet their coordination and joint functioning in the body give rise to different bodily processes. So what he said is, as if we have different part of body and we have different organs and they look different and their functions are also different, but still there is coordination and joint functioning and thus it gives to different body processes. Okay, and same way intelligence works. There are different factors and they are independent of each other, but due to the combination of all those factors we have different processes. Okay, so let's understand its theory. So Guilford gave the three dimension, and according to him the different factors of intelligence can be grouped in three dimensions. The first one is operation. So what does operation means? Operation means just general intellectual processes. Okay, the general mental processes are included in operation. Then we have content. Content means broad areas of information to which the human intellect applies operations or processes. So in content we have broad areas of information to which we can apply our human intellect. Okay, then we have product as a third dimension. Product contains result of applying particular operations to specific contents. So what does product includes? It is a results of applying particular operation to specific content. Okay, so now according to Guilford, individual's mental process have got the central place in operations, right? So the individual mental process have got the central place in operations. So the mental process that a individual do is central in the operations, and in operation here he has included 5 abilities. And what are they? They are evaluation, convergent thinking, divergent thinking, memory and cognition. Okay, those are the 5 components that are included in operation. That is first dimension of his theory, operation, and it includes the 5 mental abilities. Then we have content, in which he again includes the 5 aspects which are visual, auditory, symbolic, semantic and behavioral. Okay, we will understand each of these aspects in detail while we understand the diagram. Okay, then we have third dimension, that is product, and in this he includes 6 parts that are units, classes, relation, system, transformation and implications. Okay, so according to him there are total 150 factors of intelligence. So let us understand how this 150 factors came. Okay, so in operation we have 5 components, in content we have 5 and in product we have 6. So we can have 150 combinations with this factor. For example, from operation we can take evaluation, from content we can have auditory, and from product we can have transformation. So this is the one combination. Likewise we can have evaluation, visual and transformation as a second combination. So while making combinations from these 3 dimensions we can have 150 factors. Okay, so this is how the 150 factors came. Now let's understand the dimensions in the diagram. So here we have the dimension operation, content and product. Okay, so in operation we have different components, that is evaluation, divergent thinking, convergent thinking and memory and cognition. So what does evaluation mean? It is the ability to judge whether information is accurate, consistent or valid. Okay, divergent thinking, to generate multiple solutions. It is the ability to generate multiple solutions. Convergent thinking, it is the ability to generate single solution, to come at single solution. Okay, you have multiple informations and by using that you come to a single solution. It is known as convergent thinking. Then we have memory. Memory is the ability to encode information. Cognition, ability to understand, comprehend, discover and become aware of the information. You can write the explanations of this components so that you can understand it properly. Then we have content, and the first one is visual. It is the ability that is perceived through our eyes, that is perceived through our sight. Okay. Then we have auditory, which means perceived through hearing. Whatever we hear comes under auditory. Then symbolic, information perceived as symbols. Whatever you perceived as a symbol comes under symbolic. Then semantic, we studied in standard 11 also. Semantic is concerned with verbal meaning and ideas. Okay. Then behavioral, it is behavioral. B is missing over here, you can write in your textbook. It is behavioral, which means information perceived as acts of people. Okay. Then we come to product. First one is units, which means single item of knowledge. Whatever the single item you have in your knowledge, that is units. Then classes, sets of units sharing common attributes. The set of units which have common attributes, we can say groups. So groups means classes. Then relations, which means units linked at opposites or in association sequences. Means units that are opposite but are linked, which are in association or in sequence. That all comes in relation. Then we have systems. Systems means multiple relations that are interrelated. System we can understand as computer system. We call computer as a system. Why? Because it has interrelated, multiple relations interrelated. And same way over here we have systems of multiple relations interrelated. Okay. Then we have transformations, which means changes, perspectives or mutations to knowledge. Whatever changes or transformation happens comes in transformation. Then we have implication, which means predictions, inferences, consequences of knowledges. So this is the three-dimensional theory of Guilford. So we have product, content and operation. So according to Guilford, these three dimensions play important role in framing our intelligence. Because of all these factors, the intelligence can be judged. Okay. So here we complete our Guilford's three-dimensional theory. And now the next theory we have is Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. So Howard Gardner in 1983 gave the views on intelligence. So according to him, intelligence is not a single measure of abilities, but there are different factors in intelligence. And the theory which he given to understand intelligence is called theory of multiple intelligence. Okay. So according to Gardner, intelligence plays an important role in making an individual understand his environment and also develop his perspective. So according to Gardner, what intelligence do? It plays an important role in making an individual understand his environment, so that because of the intelligence he can understand the environment and also develop his perspective. So he suggested 8 different types of intelligence. Okay. And in any one individual, all these 8 are not seen in equal degree. So in any individual, there is a varying degree of all these 8 type of intelligences. Okay. And a person uses the intelligence, type of intelligence which is appropriate to the situation or context which has arisen before him. So because of the situation and the context, individual uses the certain type of intelligence. Okay. So let's understand the types of intelligence. So the first one is linguistic intelligence. So what does this intelligence include? As the name suggests, it includes a task like speaking, listening, reading, writing, understanding complexity of languages, etc. And the persons who are writers, literary figures, salesmen, members of editorial staff have higher degree of linguistic intelligence. Okay. Then we have logical or mathematical intelligence. So in this type of intelligence is expressed as reasoning on arguments, use of signals and symbols, and in computational work. Okay. So because of this intelligence, we have reasoning, we have arguments, we can use signs and symbols, and we can do computational work. So person having higher degree of this intelligence will be among logicians, advocates, judges, detectives, scientists, statisticians and accountants. Okay. So person in this profession would have higher degree of logical or mathematical intelligence. Then we have spatial intelligence. So such intelligence is used in forming, modifying and using mental images. So we have 3 dimensional spaces like left, right, front, back, up, down, etc. And person having this type of higher degree of intelligence are generally navigator of ships, aircraft, pilots, then engineers, architects, etc. So a person who have ability to visualize with mind's eyes, they can visualize the space and etc. are have the higher degree of spatial intelligence. Okay. In fourth type of intelligence, that is bodily and kinesthetic intelligence. Such intelligence is needed for making simultaneous and compatible movements of hand, feet, head, torso, fingers, etc. So to move your body parts to perform certain activity, you need bodily or kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. So persons like sportsmen, craftsmen, surgeons, dancer, etc. have higher degree of bodily or kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. Then the fifth one is interpersonal intelligence. Because of this intelligence, a human can understand the nature, habits, likes, dislikes, attitudes, feelings, emotions, etc. of the other people. Okay. So the professors like teachers, trainers, salesmen, politicians have higher degree of interpersonal intelligence because they need to understand the habits, nature, likes, dislikes, etc. of the other people. Okay. Then we have musical intelligence. In such type of intelligence is used in identifying and discovering the volume, pitch and self tones of various singers and musical instruments. Okay. So to understand the volume, pitch, spatial tones, etc. of musical instrument or singers, this intelligence come into picture. And persons like singer, players of musical instrument, musical composer, etc. have higher degree of musical intelligence. Okay. Then we have interpersonal intelligence. Because of this intelligence, a person can achieve self-understanding about feelings, emotion, aptitude, attitude, prejudice, beliefs, etc. of himself. Intrapersonal means of your own. Okay. So because of this intelligence, you can understand about your feelings, emotion, etc. And this type of intelligence is useful in developing self-insight and self-actualization. We understood the self-actualization in 11th standard in the Maslow's hierarchy, and at the top of the pyramid was self-actualization, and because of this interpersonal intelligence we can achieve those. Okay. Then last one we have naturalistic intelligence. Because of this intelligence, a human can understand various natural objects, animal species, plants and trees and variety of natural phenomena. Okay. So this individual helps to understand natural objects, animal species, plants, etc. So farmers, breeders, animal keepers, hunters, adventurers, etc. have higher degree of naturalistic intelligence. So what Guilford suggested that this 8 type of intelligence play a role in our humans intelligence. Okay, this 8 intelligence play a role in forming intelligence, and all the 8 type of intelligence are present in an individual in varying order, in varying degrees. Okay. So here we complete our Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Then we have the last contemporary approaches to intelligence, that is past theory by J.P. Das. So Jagannath Prasad Das and his associates, so he was not alone, but J.P. Das and his associate have opposed the theory of G factor, that is general factor. So according to experimental studies and research experiences, he presented the view that the formation of human skills and the process in it plays an important role in cognitive abilities. So what he supported, that neuropsychologist for intelligence. He supported the views of neuropsychologist views for intelligence. So according to them, structure of the brain is extraordinary. So we understood the structure of the brain in our 11th standard, right? We understood that brain is divided into 2 hemispheres and they are called left hemisphere and right hemisphere. We understood the visual, auditory, olfactory, etc. In that. Okay. So those parts are necessary according to J.P. Das and associates. They said that there are various centers that are situated in specific parts of brain, and if the specific part of brain is damaged, that will create an obstacle in doing the mental activity associated with it. For example, suppose a specific part of a center of the left hemisphere of the brain is damaged, then the individual will have problem in language speaking and writing. So what J.P. Das and his associates said that the brain and the cognitive processes are interrelated. Okay, cognitive ability is interrelated, and he said that if a damage in one part of the brain can lead to difficulty in certain cognitive ability. So he said that there is a higher degree of interrelation between the structure of the brain and the cognitive ability of individual. Okay. So J.P. Das and his associates strongly believed that the extraordinary structure of the brain is closely interrelated with the cognitive ability of an individual. Okay, have we understood right now? And thus there are 4 main cognitive abilities that are included. So what are those 4? Planning, attention arousal, simultaneous processing and successive processing. And so when we abbreviate those first letter of the 4 cognitive abilities, we get PAS. So this is how we get the name of the theory, that is PAS theory. Now let us understand those components. So planning. So with the help of this cognitive ability, we can solve our problems and change our behavioral accordingly by planning. So for this type of cognitive activity, the frontal lobe of the brain is responsible. And because of this, it also helps in setting up of goals, evaluation of result and uses of response and feedback and so on. Okay. Then attention arousal. As we understood, attention, what does attention means is, it is a type of cognitive ability of an individual decides on which stimulus for the environment he will pay attention. We know that we have various stimulus in our environment, but we give attention to what we are interested to. So this attention arousal is that kind of only. So what did he say? He said was that a person with ADD, that is attention deficit disorder, it is a disorder in which a person cannot pay attention, are deficient in this type of cognitive ability. So the person who have ADD are deficient in this type of cognitive ability. And attention and excitement are related to brain stem and thalamus in the brain. Okay. So the second factor in his theory is attention arousal. Okay, that is the cognitive ability to decide to give attention to which stimulus. Okay. Then we have simultaneous processing. So what happens in this cognitive ability is, there are different stimulus which are joined together to form a complete situation. For example, there are various stimulus given, but we join all of them to complete a picture. For example, over here we have given an example. What is mother's father's son called? So we know that it is called as maternal uncle, and this type of solving of problem was possible because of simultaneous processing. We can gather various information and we can process it simultaneously. Okay, so we have simultaneous processing. And the last factor, that is successive processing. It is the ability to process simultaneous stimulus one after another. So we know that in our environment we have stimulus one after another, and because of successive processing we can process one stimulus after another. Okay. So here the example of writing or reading is given. So the ability of seeing, especially seen while writing a printed sentence, we attend to words in succession. So we read one word after another. So this is possible because of successive processing. So what does J.P. Das and associates said in their theory was that the structure of brain is closely related with cognitive ability of the individual. So we know that the 4 cognitive abilities, that are planning, attention arousal, simultaneous processing and successive processing, which are closely related to structure of brain. So planning is related to frontal lobe of the brain, attention is related to brain stem and thalamus in the brain, simultaneous processing is related to occipital lobe and parietal lobe, and successive planning is related to frontal lobe and temporal lobe. Okay. So this is how he interrelated the structure of the brain with the cognitive ability and developed the theory of intelligence. Okay. So here we complete all the 5 contemporary approaches to intelligence.